Hello and welcome. I'm Aisha Melina, and this is just kind of going to be a juicy, stretchy, slow flow. I would love for you to have a set of blocks, as well as a just very basic resistance band. This one doesn't have a ton of resistance, and as always when we work with a resistance band, I think it's valuable to remind you that they are elastic and they snap. So it's nice to pay a little bit attention to how much pressure or tension you're putting on that band and where you are in space so you don't snap yourself in the face, essentially, or get your hair caught in it. That's also a common one. And let's just start in absolutely any comfortable seat. I'm going to start today on just a block and on my heels. And then I'm going to find the strap just around sort of like the middle of my ribs. And I'm going to have a little bit of tension on it here. And I'm going to round my back into it like a cat. And then I'm going to go ahead and take my arms behind myself and open the chest up. So just going to sort yourself out and find this seated cat-cow with a resistance band. And take your time. Don't pay attention so that, in this case, it would be like my hair would get rolled up in it. So nice and slow and mindful, easy does it. And if you want a little bit more, if you like that sensation of your ribs pressing into the band, then you can take your band a little tighter. And this is also going to create a little bit more sensation in your cow shape. So when you lift your heart, that band can pull your shoulders together in the back. You just move as much or little as you feel is comfortable. Let's take about 3 to 5 more deep breaths here. Nice. Keep that band just about where you have it right now. You can walk your hands even a little bit tighter if you'd like. And we'll find a nice little side stretch here. Pull your bottom hand towards the floor and side stretch towards the floor. Pull your top hand up, lifting yourself just a little bit. Tilt over to the other side and side stretch. If you want, with the breath, you can inhale through center and exhale as you alternate sides. Keep going. Keep breathing. No worries if you can't remember, but if you can't remember which side you started on, let's maybe start on that other side so it doesn't get jealous. But also, no big deal. Good. I'm going to have you set that band down, shake out your hands, and then give your shoulders just some very soothing movement. It could be some shoulder rolls, maybe a little shimmy. If you're rolling, consider rolling in both directions. Good. And then just find some quiet, allow your hands to rest somewhere. Close your eyes and take some deep breaths. And just notice what you notice here for another 3 or 4 breaths. And I think however you've been seated, you might be ready for a downward facing dog. If you're not ready for a down dog, you can come onto all fours and just stretch out one leg at a time. So I'll show you both of those. So we can both start here, or all of us, and just stretch one of your feet behind you. You can even find a little dynamics pulse here. Good, other side. And then if your wrist, shoulders, if they're easily cranky, maybe not ready for a down dog, maybe they will be happy on a couple of blocks. So I like to, when for down dogs, set them either on the lowest or the middle setting. And then find any sort of stillness or movement that suits you here. Good. Come back down and take a wild-legged forward fold, or a wide-legged seat for starters. And just kind of teeter around a little bit. We're going to come into Chalasana here, windmill pose, in just a moment. But you can start just finding a half sway. Good. And then let's find our band. Let's take the band around each foot, just for a little support for when we're leaning back in our Chalasana. And then lead forward in a circle, whichever direction. And then use that band, know that it snaps, and lean a little bit back. Good. A little bit forward. A little bit back. And I'm not concerned at all how wide or not wide your legs are. Just finding places to be in your body where it's enjoyable to spend time is just way more important, in my opinion, than what that shape looks like. Nice. Just another circle or two in this direction. You breathe however you want. When it feels organic to you, change direction. Tune in, tune in, tune in. Remember, that band is elastic. So even though it feels really, really good, stay aware right here and right now. 1 or 2 more circles here. And where you feel the most safe and comfortable to come out of this, come up and out, and release your strap. Let's say turn your left foot in, and then turn your body over your right extended leg. take your resistance band, and here's where I got an option for you. If you double the resistance band up a little bit more, it's going to feel a little stiffer, which is going to allow you to pull yourself a little deeper. But maybe you're not so concerned about that. Maybe you're more tired around the wrists or elbows or neck or something, and you want it to be a little softer. And then you'll just go single. So finding a Janusirsasana position here, and I'm not trying to suppress any movement here. I just want to play around a little bit with what happens if we try different things. So for the very first thing, I want you to just sit sort of upright, and we sometimes call this tall spine. However, I will never have a tall spine. 5 foot tall. So I'm just gonna call it sitting upright. And then I'm gonna bend in my elbow to pull myself forward. And I'm just for a moment here trying to see if I can only bend at the hip. And naturally my spine is gonna move a little bit here and there as well. No big deal. But let's see here. And I challenge you, if you have your own agenda, that's fine too. But to hip hinge just a few times here, just for fun. Good. And then stay in your hip hinge. Consider moving closer to the foot or making your strap stiffer. And just breathe. Allow the only movement that's happening to be from your breath expanding and condensing your body. Maybe you're naturally noticing your tissues sort of adjust to the new position, becoming more compliant, taking the body closer to the leg. It's just normal. And then let's give all of that a little rest. Shake out your legs, shake out your wrists, whatever needs to get a little loving motion can. And then let's do that same thing on the other side. Whichever side you didn't do, I cued right foot out earlier. Now I'm cueing right foot in. You can double up the strap or not. And then let's just try to sit upright-ish. And then finding that little hip hinge back and forth. It's very, very easy for us to tell stories when things don't feel the same, one side to another. And just, because it just doesn't have a purpose right here, can you let go of those stories, whether it's an old injury or anything else, and just focus on hinging at the hip. And eventually, maybe you walk your hands in a little closer. It's totally fine. The spine's going to round a little bit. No big deal. But can you try to have the majority of the forward fold come from the hip? And then let your breath move your body. like you're just a little boat on the ocean of your breath, bopping around, floating along. A few more breaths here. Very good. Nice and easy. Come on up. And then we'll take our legs just forward for a second here. Shake them out. Shake out your wrists, whatever needs to happen. And take a quiet seated samastitihi. So just like an equal pose of some sort. And take a few breaths here. Notice whatever it is you notice. And then notice that too. Beautiful. Let's go back to the first side. Get your strap either double folded or single. However, I will let you know that I am going to let you bend in your spine now, so you might enjoy that little extra resistance or even climbing closer to the foot. So now I'm not going to restrict you. We can start with a couple of little bends in the spine. And then just figure out your own juicy hybrid of hinging and rounding. And breathe. And play. Take one or more or two dynamic movements. And then no rush. When you're done with that, you can just land somewhere, anywhere that feels good. You can play around with some different spot. I'm even going to set my strap aside and grab my blocks. And I'm going to lean my elbows onto it. So this is just one variation. Any forward fold of your choice is just fine. Taking a few more breaths here, I just want to ask you a simple observation. Are you, maybe because you've been taught in the past or for any other reason, are you engaging all the way out through that right foot? If so, no big deal, totally allowed. But how does it feel if you allow yourself to relax through that leg. Drop the foot. You can kind of sickle in or out, whatever it naturally does. Just allow it, and let's take 3 more restorative breaths wherever you are. So good. Nice and easy. Come on up out of it. And this time we'll take our legs right in front. Maybe we shake it out. But before we move to the other side, we'll take a little inventory. So unemotionally, just find an easy spot where you can breathe. Observe. And maybe observing if you feel any different from side to side. Good. Other side, we'll grab that band again. Whichever side you didn't do. The band can be double or single. And we'll find just very initially a little bit of like roundness, cat-cow in the spine. You can sit relatively upright from the hips. And then as soon as your body's calling for it, because it will, allow yourself just any combination of those 2 movements or any hybrid, whatever. Breathe and move any way that feels just right for you right now for a few more breaths. And then when it feels nice and ready to find a little stillness, you find a forward fold of your choice. I'm going to do the same thing I did on the other side, even though that's not even mandatory either. Consider this probably at least 10 breaths here. And if you already now want to pay attention to your foot, and if you're just on autopilot, like I definitely was just on autopilot right now, finding, energy through my heel and through my dorsiflexion. Your choice, how you want to spend your time. But I do invite you to relax that foot already now. So you're finding this overall gentle ease. Allow for just about 3 or 4 more deep breaths here, all the way in and all the way out. So good. Gently wiggle out of it, and we'll come into a supine here. So technically just shavasana. If you want, you can take those little blocks underneath your thighs or knees, whatever. Wiggle around until you're comfortable. And before we totally tune in to tune out, I want you to bring your awareness to your hips. And then become aware of your belly and your waist all the way around. Become aware of your bottom ribs, middle ribs, 360 degrees around the tops of the ribs, all the ribs. And from your ribs and your hips, begin to melt, release, and just generally become easy all the way out into the fingers, all the way out into the toes. We'll take a proper shavasana here. I want you to feel safe that I will be waking you up in about 3 or 4 minutes. But for now, as you release and relax in the body, even allow your breath to become easy, relax, and fully surrender. gently begin to first just become aware of your breath, your breathing. Begin to breathe a little deeper. When it feels right to do so, you can start gently moving the hips and the shoulders, the ribs, the low back. Good. And then in any way you want, any way you like, when you're ready to come back up, meet me in a seat. Maybe it's the same seat you started with. Maybe it's something different. No rush. Once you're in your seat, hands at the heart. Check in with yourself again with a simple observation. Just notice yourself. Very, very good. Hari Om, Om Shanti, and Namaste.